Hi guys, I know it's been a minute, but before we get into the video, let's catch up on a few things. So in a beautiful, chaotic way, last year was actually pretty fun. In the summer, I got to do this amazing road trip across the West Coast with stops in Cali, Oregon, and Washington. And despite all of this beautiful scenery, one thing you couldn't see was a girl who was absolutely struggling. I absolutely hated my job, was processing a breakup, and had absolutely no control over the uncomfortable transition of moving back home to Brooklyn, where certain financial obligations were slowly eating me away. The tip of the iceberg, though, was when I decided in September to quit my job at the largest tech or retail company in the world, an opportunity I sustained for almost 3.5 years. I had no other job to fall back on, rent still to pay, but despite it being a difficult decision anyways, I decided to take the leap of faith and leave with my trust in God to eventually make things work. I tried things like volunteering, traveling, even buying a telescope to heal my spirits. I wish I could tell that girl then all she would have to brace for. It has been so long. I don't know why I'm so nervous right now to record. I don't know why I feel nervous, but I feel like it has something to do with the fact that I haven't been in front of the camera in however long. It's nobody's business. You know what I'm saying? I am like still so excited to be back, and I'm so excited to be recording. But also, as a disclaimer, I have no professional experience doing makeup. I am nowhere near a professional, but I made it a thing this year for myself to get more into makeup because I really want to know how to do it well. So that's basically what I'm doing now. I will be playing in makeup, if you will. Yeah, we're just gonna use the products that I have. I washed my face today. I don't have on any makeup right now, but I did use this Fenty Beauty toner serum that I've been using now for a few months. I also put on this Fenty Skin, it's like a facial moisturizer and SPF. So I put both of those things on. Those are the only things I have on today. And we're just gonna go with the flow. Again, I am not an expert. So I'm sure there's many of things that I will be doing that could be questionable, but we're just going to play in it, see how it looks. A lot of these steps are general things I follow when I just do my face, but again, it's like a very minimal natural look. First, disclaimer, I actually have been making it a habit to use this crystal roller on my face. Despite the fact that I do use this pretty routinely, I actually prefer using this jade comb instead. This is something that one of the brands I used to manage gave me, and it's made out of jade, so I assume the similarity of what they're made out of will give it the same effect. What I do is I spend about 10 minutes doing this once a day, and the goal is to help not only like slim the face down, but to stimulate like blood flow to help with things like acne and other things. So I'm just gonna do that. And I also have a little vanity mirror right here that I'm looking at, so hence that. It's probably gonna make my face red. Usually this makes my face pretty red, maybe if I'm doing it too hard, so I'm not gonna do it too hard. But I've learned that emotions of how in which to do this is more of like in to out, in out, like that. So I go under the eyes. So I have been at my parents' house for the last few months since February, and I'm blessed to be able to say, of course, that I have a family to depend on and rely on, but it's moments like this where I'm having to like battle the sound that others are making in the house that reminds me just why I miss living on my own. But for what it's worth, I have been incorporating this face slimming routine into my days, as I've also been trying to lose weight. So since January, I have actually lost 10 pounds. And I'm very proud of that. A lot of that just has to do with the fact that I have been on like a calorie deficit diet and just eating less meals and less calories. throughout the days. I feel like that's the most effective for me because I don't really love the gym. But I also just picked up jogging. So I'm going to continue to put the foot to the metal with that. But yeah, for me, I just feel like there is a second puberty that happens for women, and it happens around 25. You know, everything gets bigger and it becomes harder to maintain a certain weight that you were maybe your whole life. I'm down 10 pounds right now. I want to lose, how many pounds? I want to lose, honestly, somewhere between 5 to 10 more pounds before the year ends. But I'm very proud of the progress thus far. And I've also been utilizing a lot of like mat Pilates and following this trainer on YouTube. Her name is Izzy, I believe, and she has this like 25-day challenge. Love her down. It's been like my go-to. Yeah, more to come on like the results of all that. Now I'm just gonna get to eyebrows. Sharpening my little pencil. Get a little closer for this. I'm literally so close. My vanity mirror is just too far away. So let me just give me a second. I love how no talking happens during eyebrows. Like I'm just like I get so focused. But fun fact, when I was little, I actually shaved off my eyebrows when I was in like elementary school. And I don't know why my silly ass did it. I think because me and my twin sister at the time were convinced that that was how our mom got her eyebrows nice. Because she has really thick brows. And I knew that she got them done. I just didn't know what they was doing to them, you know? Now I'm like super sensitive about my eyebrows because I don't even wax them or thread them because I feel like there isn't enough hair for me to afford to lose any, which is probably not the way to think. But and that's actually a good segue to like hair, because last year I absolutely fried off my hair. Like when I tell you I fried off my hair, I fried it off. I was getting Dominican blowouts like every 2 weeks, and you know, at the time I loved it because I loved having straight hair. I love the convenience of like walking down the street, being able to get that done for like, at first it was like $40-$50, and then eventually became like $60-$70, not including a tip. I did that the entire summer. And September came. So I'm using this Kiss Natural Foundation, but honestly, this is not the foundation I would use all the time. Normally, the foundation that I would use is this like really old, it's this really old Fit Me one. This is in the shade 335. Usually I would use this, and I've used this down to the ground, but I haven't bought a new one, so I gotta make do with this one. I absolutely fried my hair off. And when I tell you I fried it, it really sucked because September came and basically I was starting to notice how much my hair was like breaking off anytime I combed it or washed it or anything. But I didn't really like make it a deal then. I didn't even really make it a deal. I don't know why I didn't make it a big deal, but I didn't make it a big deal. And I remember in the hair salon come like September, so I just washed my hair, and she had now been blow drying my hair. And she taps me, she says, "Sweetie, you know like your hair is like falling out?" Huh? I was literally like, hello, what are you talking about? You know, I've been blessed to have like really long, well, not really long, but I've been blessed to have like full hair my whole life. So hear those words was like gut wrenching. Like I've never cut my hair. I've never like did a big chop or any of that. I I did used to perm my hair though when I was really young. I'm saying it like I did it. I didn't do it. It was done to me. I say that to say like I have definitely done things to my hair, but each time it's bounced back. And once I started to lose the hair that I did and the realization that it was never coming back, that really sucked. I had diagnosed myself with alopecia, which I think by definition is just a loss of hair. So maybe if I'm right on that, then I'm not incorrect on the alopecia part. But for the most part, I went to the dermatologist and I told them what was happening. They did take a look at my scalp and they gave me these steroid injections temporarily to reduce any more breakage, right? But it didn't really answer the question in terms of what it was. But when it came down to it, it was really just the constant heat on my hair. Like I was getting blowouts every 2 weeks, and honestly, when I look back on that, I'm just like, there's no way you were doing that, but I was doing that. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it ended up just being heat damage related issues, but I was convinced it was stress or something else more serious. And fortunately, I started wearing wigs and stuff and braiding down my hair, not putting any heat on it at all, taking vitamins, Nutrafol, all this stuff. And right now my hair is I had to chop it. It's chopped up to right here, but it's definitely not breaking. And my curl pattern is, God help it, she's gonna need a long time to come back, but I'm at least grateful that I didn't do the big chop because I'm just really scared still of doing that. But yeah, I thought it was stress and I was convinced it was my job. And that's actually a good segue to the stress that I was actually going through. So going in with this concealer is 03. And it's a full coverage one. I'm saying these things like I know what that means, but just follow with me. I don't really know where to start with my job piece, because the reality of it is that for those who have been on my channel for a long time know that my job for the most part was the center of my life the last 4 years. It was also the reason why I think I had a lot of the blessings that I did, and for that reason I felt like I couldn't leave it. I felt like at any point I couldn't leave my job. And don't get me wrong, I've tried. I worked at the biggest tech company in the world, and I'm not gonna say the name, but it's not that hard to guess. I worked at the biggest tech company in the world, and it was a big culture shift. It was a huge culture shift. It was a huge culture shift, not just because, of course, there isn't a lot of POC, though I did end up seeking that out with thanks to just coming into a cohort of people starting within the program I was in. So I was able to connect with Black people for sure, and a lot of those friends I still have. But I also up and moved to Seattle, a place I had never visited a day in my life, and a place where there's a lot of other young, successful people of color who also work in tech or for tech companies. There's really not many experiences in this lifetime that I think can compare at this point to everything that Seattle gifted me. It was truly one of the best times of my life, getting out there, acclimating, and just everything I experienced, all the people I met. I'm so grateful. And I do have that job to factor in terms of why I got that. At the end of the day, everything is God. But, I felt like if I stopped working that job, then I wouldn't be able to enjoy those luxuries that I had. And candidly, I've always been a people person. Any job that I worked, I knew that I wanted to work closely with people and be in a space and environment that allows me to build relationships. but I can't say for certain that I was like ready to acclimate to the you know, being in like the retail space, or eventually I transitioned to the luxury space. All of these makeup products are literally from the beauty supply store or drugstore, just so you know. But this is some powder that I'm about to put on now. But I can't say that I was like fully ready to adjust to those things, or like adjusting even to like managing a P&L, because there's just some aspects of it. I say that to say it was a very big learning curve. Like, it was a very big learning curve. First of all, I realized that I could have put on the setting powder before, but whatever. I say that to say it was a very big learning curve. Basically, I struggled a lot, and that's really just too because I'm a person that likes to be taught things, and I think the biggest thing in like corporate America today, tech companies alike, is that you have to be very much self-starter, and that's fine. But sometimes people learn better and more from watching other people do things or asking questions. And I had a manager tell me one time that I asked too many questions. I said, oh, okay, I get what she means. But it was just like, oh, okay. Basically, in my last 6 months at my company, I was in complete like shambles. I was trying very hard, but still wasn't really getting to the places I need to get to. But I'm also going to be honest, there were times where I wasn't trying that hard. And that was really a big aspect of that, was truly because I had been chasing a promotion in my company for years, just under the entire 3.5 years I was there. And I never got it. So my pay, I don't feel like reflected the intensity of the work that I was doing. I understood that I was blessed, you know what I'm saying? That's why I stuck with it, because it's a blessing to have a job. It's a blessing to make the money that I was making, compared to what my parents were doing at that age, even at this age, you know? But the hours, the long hours, the hours, the pressure, the conflict, all of that just really gets to be a lot. Like, it really, really does get to be a lot. There were times for that reason where I didn't try as hard as I should have. I was just kind of over it. I was burnt out. I felt like I couldn't really talk to a lot of people about this situation, either because their managers and their circumstances were different, or they also had never worked for a company like mine and couldn't really like relate to being 22 years old as you're just starting in the biggest tech company. It was isolating a bit. I probably did that to myself, or isolated myself a little bit, but it was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. If you're a makeup girly and you're watching this, you're probably like, she's going terribly wrong. But that's okay. I'm willing to learn. I really am willing to learn. Oops. Actually a good segue to the job piece, because I'm all willing to learn, and I was all willing to take a risk on myself and see what else was out there and get into like a new industry, you know? But the ability or decision to do that became more important as I was starting to go through like difficult conversations with my manager. She basically hit a point where she felt like, put aside the promotion, you're not even doing what you need to be doing at this level. And I was not standing for that. Like, 3.5 years almost at a company, you think I'm gonna hear you, my new manager, tell me that I'm not performing at the level I need to be in? Girl, bye. I can't say though that I said girl bye to her like off rip. Like, I was very much at first like, okay, I'm willing to do what you're asking me to do to show you that I can perform at this level. And I did those things. I you know, I looked to everyone for advice. I didn't let like my hot-headedness like overrule me, you know, because I didn't want to. I could have met her then with a, you know, I'm not doing any of this, like, you don't know what you're talking about. But I didn't know. I had a previous manager saying like, this is probably just to like light a fire under my butt, and consider it lit, because, you know, I tried to do what I had to do. But I hit the end of this like time frame, right, for where I was expected to do other things and, really just convince of how much that I've done. And she said, well, yeah, these things are good, but I would like to see you do this for like another like month or two, or do rather new things for a month or two. And I was just like, I'm not like, I had this like fight with myself. I was like, I'm not gonna drag this out with you. Like, you either feel confident in me as your direct report or you don't. There's only so much time I'm willing to give to prove myself about anything. Okay? I knew a few days before that I was going to quit. I just didn't expect to actually do it in that call. And that is very much what I did. I quit end of September, early October. And petty enough, I didn't really give a lot of time before this quit, before when I actually left the company, because I was completely over at that point. And maybe that part, like, I wish I could have did differently. I was definitely reacting emotionally then, but I can't tell you how scared I was to tell people about that decision, because I'm a person that does something ask later for advice. And like, it's not to say like I don't listen to what people say, but I just kind of like believe in what I want to do and what like God tells me to do. Like, those are the things and principles that I listen to. And I made this decision without like asking anyone if I should do it, because I knew what the answer was going to be. I knew it was going to be like, no, don't do this. I had absolutely no fallback job. I had savings, of course, but like, not enough to carry me for a whole year or plus. And it was really scary. Felt good though the moment I realized that I wasn't going back there, because let me tell you, free will is amazing. Okay, that's ultimately what it is. I had a lot of family members and friends get extremely worried about me, and I told them initially, like, okay, anything past 3 months, that's when I want you to start worrying about me in terms of like finding a job. But I understood. I just still wasn't in a space to convince anybody of my decision, because I was the one going through those things, Also, this is the beauty supply store powder that I was using. But on the job piece, if it wasn't already enough that I was like losing my hair, that I quit my job, I was also trying to process a breakup still. The breakup happened months before that, but I know you guys know how it is. Like, you don't really like stop contact maybe then. And it was only actually around that time that, the contact sort of like dwindled. But I was going through that too, because I was really I was feeling like all these pillars of my life were coming and crashing down, like one by one by one by one. I was having like conflict with like friends and having friendship fallouts to things completely unrelated from those three things. But it was just like, I remember just feeling like, what else? Like, what else could go wrong? The beauty of being at your lowest low is that the only way to go is up. And that was truly the attitude I tried to have to push myself through. I had to have that attitude to push myself through. I can't tell you how much I, said to myself, like, how? Why do I deserve this? And I'm glad I stopped thinking that way, because I think we ought to think that things are not happening to us but for us. So, yeah. Look at me again, no makeup expert, but what I'm about to use is this contour palette, and I'm just going to use my fingers because it's a cream palette, and I'm just going to contour based on what I know. So what's so funny? I have these very prominent cheekbones that I get from my mom anyways. So it's really hard to follow whatever's already going on there, but we're just gonna do it, I've been very fortunate, and say that to say that I am happy again, maybe already, as some of you might be thinking. And there is someone special in my life. I don't know. I just find myself, I guess, to just be a relationship girly through and through. I'm a lover girl. Without saying too much, also, maybe I'll get to that at a certain point. But without saying too much, he's great. So now I'm going to use this very beat down blush. I really like this blush though. So I'm going to use that. So great news is not just that I am, that my heartstrings are like open and being tugged again, but that after 6-7 months since leaving my last company, I have not only been blessed with a job offer, but I've been blessed with 2. Ironically, I got both the offers on the same day, an hour apart. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty upset at myself because I didn't automatically start like putting my foot to the metal with jobs. Like you would think I would, right? But I didn't. I really didn't. I enjoyed initially just how much free will I had. Like I was just happy to wake up every day and just exist, and I'm blessed that I even had that chance to do that. I was kind of mad that I spent the first 2-3 months kind of lollygagging in that sense. But come January into February, where my birthday had passed and I was really fortunate to celebrate that, I only then started to put my foot to the metal. The problem was that I also was putting too many like eggs in one basket. So I actually had these 2 company interviews, 2 different companies, big fashion brands that I interviewed for, and I was convinced I was going to get one of them, if not both of them, offered to me. And right after my birthday, I got my rejection for both of them. Made it to the final rounds and everything. And that really like did a number on me. It did a number on me. I was so discouraged because I truly just felt like I had it in the bag. And what I've learned at this point is that, sure, it's not going to be the first offer, but it's really just about practice, like continuing to practice over time your interview skills. And, I knew I was going to move out of my last apartment. I struggled a lot with my last apartment, really, because of, there was a lot of reasons. I think it was just overpriced for the price it was. And also the conditions. Like I had this really bad leak problem and, just rodents, from Brooklyn. So I know that can just be the case, but I wasn't having it for the price I was paying. And I say that to say I knew I was going to move out of that apartment and move back in with my family into my old room, this room. But at that time, end of February, I was like hoping that the basis of me doing it was going to mean that I had a job at that time, and I didn't. So I think starting from fresh is really hard. Also, I'm about to use this very beat down e.l.f. Mascara. Starting anew and starting fresh is very hard, but it's something that I've had to learn to embrace, And that was also a big part of the reason that I went to Asheville, North Carolina. So I was trying to help people rebuild their lives while I was rebuilding my own. And I have a video on that on my channel as well. I remember receiving the offers for both those jobs a few weeks back, and I was just like flabbergasted. Like you ever had a blessing so big that you just couldn't really explain it or like couldn't really believe it? And that's how I felt. I mean, all grace to my God. I had prayed and cried and prayed and cried and celebrated and prayed and cried so much over the last few months. And I can't tell you how many times I hate when that happens. I can't tell you how many times over the last few months I've begged God to tell me what to do or give me a sign that there was something else next. But at the same rate, God is the best listener I know. Like, he's just so good. He's just such a good listener. I started to tell God when I felt that I was ready. that I was like truly ready to do the work of whatever the next blessing required. Because at the end of the day, I was just praying to God to make me worthy to receive the blessing that I was asking for. What's so crazy is that both of the offers that I received are in different industries, both newer industries to me. And one of them, like the promotion or pay or title, was so big that I didn't even dream about it before I had been applying. Like, I was really sticking to realms of pay that were close to my last role, because I was like, I just needed a job at a certain point. Sometimes it still doesn't feel real, and I'm so blessed and fortunate that I even have an option between two different opportunities. You know what I'm saying? I was met with such warmness from both companies, and I'm so grateful. I didn't even cry. I just fell to my knees when I got the calls. And I think the hard part this is a good problem to have. I think there's problems you can have and there's good problems to have. So it being a good problem that I had two jobs to choose from, I remember feeling like I couldn't say no to either, because when you wait so long to hear a yes, it's like you feel like you're not capable of giving a no. I ended up choosing one. And it wasn't an easy decision because I absolutely loved both. But I'm optimistic and I'm praying that things will go well, of course, if I just apply myself and, continue to bask in all that I've learned the last 6 months not working, which have been hard, but have also been so good. Blessed I was even able and in position to do that too, and still travel and do things. And I'm so excited to start. I wonder if anyone can guess the industry that it's going to be in, but for what it's worth, I am celebrating the fact that I will be the first 6-figure maker in my family. And when I say in my family, I mean my extended family. Like, I mean my grandmas, aunts, uncles, except one uncle in fashion, but that's such that's something that I don't take lightly, and a blessing so big I don't understand, but that I'm thankful for. This is not to bloat about money, but it's just the fact that will create so much opportunity for myself, for my family, for my friends. I'm just so grateful. It'll feel real once I start, which is not till a few weeks. So I will keep posting on that, but wish me luck in the meantime. So now I'm just going to use this. Oh my God, this highlighter. I mean, this is called Stack the Odds. It's from this, the makeup company is called Alley-oop. Looks so, like, this presentation looks terrible of this, but I've had this for a long time. They sent me products a long time ago and I still use them till this day. And this is the highlighter that I'm using. Okay, highlighter on. And now lip gloss. I have like 3 Fenty lip glosses that I like rotate a lot between, but this is one of them. This is the cream Fenty lip gloss. Now I'm just gonna finish off with this drugstore setting spray. This is a natural one because that's usually what I prefer. So this is my finished semi-natural makeup look. Like I said, I'm definitely willing to take I'm definitely willing to take pointers on makeup because I'm very much, like I said, learning how to do this for the first time, or for the first time in my life, for real. This is a no lash look. Maybe with lashes this would be different, but I don't really wear lashes. Hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully it's cute enough. I don't know, like with the makeup I do, for anyone that's gonna give like pointers, with the makeup I do, I like to look glowy and natural, and and like blush. I love blush. Like if it can incorporate all three of those things, I'll take it. Yeah, she's cute. She's cute. This is like a very much like summer, you know, summer's coming soon. And this would probably be like how I would do my face in the summer. God, look what highlight going, maybe even too much highlight. If you stayed this long, I really appreciate it. I hope that some part of this video resonated with you, and I also hope if you've been like a consistent viewer that you forgive me for not being too consistent. But I'm so excited for what's next in my life, and naturally I think for that reason I will be more excited to post, and I have some planned videos coming up, so there's that. But you know, like always, I'm not going to make a promise to certain video at a certain time or certain cadence right now because life, but I appreciate anyone that is patient with me. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, and looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, be safe, be easy, you know, treat your body well, show up for yourself, and just remember to take your time. It's okay to take your time, and things will get better because they have to, you know. Those are just some of the things that carried me through these last few months. So amen, and yeah, kisses until then.